Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@usaprepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked. Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USA Prepares. We're delighted you're with us in class today. Dr. Richard Allen Miller's with us. And Nathan's in during the broadcast in Minnesota. And if you'd like to call us, we'll pay for the call. And that number is 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. Telephone listen line, 605-477-3249. 605-477-3249. Welcome, Doc Ram.
Hey, Vincent, guess who walked in? My girlfriend, Gasa Poli, and Grace Thorne, and a new friend, Nick Martin. And Grace is just going to say hi, and then she's gone here. She's embarrassed.
Great.
Hi, Vincent.
Hey, Grace, it's great to hear your voice.
Well, it's good to hear you. I'm glad you're back today, and I hope you're feeling good.
Well, I tell you what, I'm at 60%. I haven't felt 60% good in about a year and a half, and I am just I'm racing around the farm like I haven't for a year and a half. So I'm all excited about doing better, and thank you for saying so. Grace, I've got right next to me in the studio a wall plaque that came from your students, your sixth graders, signed on the back, and it says, "No whining, no whining."
Yeah.
And,
well, that was what you always told us.
Well, I really enjoyed those days with your sixth graders and the broadcasts that we did in the conference room of the school in Oklahoma. It was Ryan, Oklahoma. It was a lot of fun. I know Rick enjoyed it, and Norm Shealy, Dr. Shealy, enjoyed it as well. So thank you for that.
That was one of the highlights of our year, Rick, and I mean, Vincent, and I know that those kids will always remember that. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, let's just take a brief minute and let's tell anyone new to the broadcast what we did. So Grace had she was teaching sixth grade public school in Ryan, Oklahoma, and what we did was allow and provide the opportunity and encourage the students to think of those questions that they really wanted answers to, science questions, medical questions, and they could ask the experts. And so what they would do is, if I'm not mistaken, Grace, they would prepare for this all week, think about what they wanted to ask, write down succinctly their questions, and then come on the air with us one at a time and ask those questions. Is that what really happened?
That was it, yeah. That's the way they did it.
Mm-hmm. And they were patient. They sat around the conference room. They waited their turn. There was no punching, kicking, yelling, screaming. They were all perfect young ladies and gentlemen, at least from what I could tell.
Yeah, you couldn't see them, but you could hear them, but you couldn't see what they were doing.
So they did enjoy it.
They did. Oh, they loved it. They loved it. Mm-hmm. And I saw Walter a few weeks ago. He was bussing tables up at a restaurant, a local restaurant at home, and he asked about you. He asked about Rick first, and then he asked about you. And those kids, they'll never forget that.
Mm-hmm. That's really, really wonderful. And I remember, of the teachers that I really remember in my life, they were really firm, really strict, really demanded a lot, and and we didn't really, we weren't firm and strict, and it's really wonderful that they can remember this as well. Yeah. And I hope that if you decide to teach again, I hope we have the opportunity to do something similar with a new school if you decide to teach. And I wish more broadcasters would do that. I really wish
Vincent,
they would.
I've asked probably at least, no, not at least, but I've asked around 10 teachers. I've talked to teachers before about doing what I did. Nobody's interested. I don't know why. They just don't understand what it's, I guess, all about, and I don't know why wouldn't want to do it, but they don't.
Well, all right. Let me share this with you, Grace. I invited teachers to come to the Get Prepared Expo, and I actually thought that they would like to come, bring their families, and learn. And I couldn't get any public school teachers, not one. Now, I went on the air and I talked about this for, probably a couple months, that we were going to do this expo, and here's who was going to be there, and we have these, world-famous people who would be speaking, and I couldn't get a single one to show up. Now, I could get homeschool moms and dads to show up. They were interested, but not a single public school teacher. Not only that, we invited, we called, Mrs. Finelli and I called school districts all around the area of the event, all around the surrounding counties. I talked to the superintendents, and they were not interested either. The principals weren't, the teachers weren't, the superintendents weren't interested in teaching preparedness. And it was almost like they thought we were some kind of a wacko cult. But I remember one superintendent who really irked me. He explained to me that they only work with organizations. I guess he thought we were an organization. I guess we are. Organizations that donate to the school. So if we were willing to buy sports uniforms, if we were willing to give money to the baseball team or the football team, but it'd have to be done way in advance. So it's not like, here's some money, will you please come to the event? No, you had to do that like a year in advance. You had to give them a year's worth of something, minimum, just to become eligible to discuss letting the teachers come to the expo. And I was so outraged. It taught me that I cannot work with the public school system. As a matter of fact, there was a guy who was a principal of the year in Missouri, and I called his office many, many times to invite him to come on the air with me. I know this guy. I know him. And not only did he not come on the air, I couldn't even get him to return my phone calls. So there's something going on. We have earned some kind of a reputation at USA Prepares that has made us not welcome in the public school arena. I don't quite understand it. I don't. My dad was a public school teacher. My dad was a elementary, middle school, high school teacher, college instructor, principal, acting superintendent. I mean, I was raised in a family of educators, and I don't get it. I really don't get it. So, what you experienced is very similar to what I've experienced, but you couldn't get a single. Well, how about this? Could you get a single teacher to listen in, or to listen to the broadcast, from an archive or an MP3?
No, never ever did I get that done. But Vincent, I don't think it's that they dislike what you say, or they don't even know what you say. It's just a matter of not knowing. That it's just ignorance, like Rick talks about, apathy and ignorance, and I don't know. If it doesn't come out of a book or off of a monitor, they're just not much interested in. I don't know, but
it's it's upsetting to me, and let me just share why. I think, and I may be wrong, but I highly doubt it. I think that every single one of our instructors on USA Prepares, and we all volunteer our time. Nobody gets paid. All of us volunteer our time, and all of us want to know more. More about what? More about everything.
Everything. Yeah.
And that is a stark contrast to what I've experienced with other people who they just don't want to know. They don't want to know, and I don't get it. But have you seen? Let me ask you this: have you seen those teachers at ball games? The same ones who wouldn't pay attention to the educational content of what we were doing. Would they show up in the bleachers watching the school children running around on the field? Would they do that after school?
Well, I'm sure they did. I'm the one that didn't show up at ball games. But
yeah, and that's we're interested in important things. Now, some people think that sports are really important. Now, I do think exercise and physical fitness is really important. For young people who are growing up, and even those of us who are grown up. I think exercise and physical fitness is important. However, I think more important is reading, writing, arithmetic, science, history, geography. Those things that I think are more important, at least in my book. And I think that the time should be spent learning those things. And I think that teachers should lead by example. And here that's not what happened, except for you as a teacher leading by example. Your students were leading by example.
Yeah, I know those kids. Those kids I had, they tried to get their parents to listen. I know they did, but they wouldn't. And if a parent won't, now you can't expect. I don't know. I don't know what you can expect. Not much. But I just know you're doing the right thing. You're doing a good job, Vincent. So. That's all you can do.
I don't know. I'm just trying, but lately I'm getting more and more frustrated. I think if you were to add up our numbers, the number I've come up with is we're 1 in 1,000. Literally, those of us who, and I'm not talking about just people listening to USA Prepares and participating. I'm talking about people who think the way we do. I think that we're just 1 in 1,000.
I know.
We'll be right back. Grace, it's delightful to hear your voice, and we'll be right back. Please stay with us.
You too, Vincent.
I have a couple of things I'd like to say, Vincent, and then we'll move on. First, this is my second request. It may be not Joey's fault, but I can't get anything to Joey because, guess what? Earthlink has blocked my email to anyone at Earthlink, and that includes my sister, and I'm pissed. And I'm going to have to go through this rigmarole of changing things. That's why I haven't been able to communicate with Joey. I didn't know why it was Earthlink. And Earthlink has summarily done it to a whole bunch of people on Earthlink. And if you are with Earthlink, would you all please call Earthlink? I'll give you a phone number, and hassle them so that this comes along loud and clear. Now, what really happened is that there's somebody dogging me. And this is just typical of 5 things that will go on during the day, each day, on me now. And while most of my friends and my girlfriend think it's somebody close to me, I personally feel it's non-human. It's a device, if you will, a creature. Now, that's a good Dune concept that is dogging me on command by a human, probably. Not human, then would probably be a 3-letter agency. I think they're doing it summarily to, instead of just taking me out, because I don't think I'm that kind of a thing. I think they're doing it to stop me from doing what I do. And it has worked, because I'm literally tied up every day with detail. And when I say detail, typical, like right now I'm doing staples, And if you had a rewards card, I got one right here in front of me, right here. Yeah, it's got a number. There's an error occurred, blah, blah. It's summarily across the board with too many different unrelated the synchronicity of it is creepy. And I have no proof. So there I am, chasing shadows like Don Quixote. And I don't want to do this. I got things to do. I've got books to write.
Mm-hmm. There's
that's the first thing that I'm hassled on.
Well, let me just share this. There's a website called downdetector.com, DOWNDETECTOR.
Do I need to make a note on this one?
No, it's you can.
This is a thing I can do. I can't do this anymore. I've had the FBI involved twice. I've had personal detectives, retired, helping me. I have to go physically because local and regional, Josephine County, Jackson County law has been broken. And so I can't even go to my local for help. And it goes downhill from there. And it is on every front. And now I'm getting angry.
Here's what I know. downdetector.com/status/Earthlink is giving a report of what's happening with Earthlink. And here's what they say. It has a graph of problems, hour by hour, and you can see that how many problems, roughly how many problems they're having. And it says, then there's a list that says recent reports of problems originated from, and this is right now, Los Angeles, Portland, Chicago, Atlanta, Peso Robles, San Francisco, Washington, where you are, and Oregon, right? That's your area. Ashburn, New York, and Mountain View. You can see them on this website. Down Detector.
This is kind of like the Nuclear Emergency Tracking Center for Radiation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for outages on internet providers, if you will. So there it is. So I just wanted to share that with our class. Rick, we're going into a commercial break. When we come back, let's talk about scalar energy. And I've got the prototype in the farmhouse of Dr. Shealy's scalar energy device. He and Lou Cassidy collaborated on this device. Lou built it according to Dr. Shealy's specifications, and I'm running it, and I've experienced some results, and I want to. Doc Ram is with us. Dr. Richard Allen Miller.
That was item 2 of 5 items I still wanted before we go to St.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Here it is. I have another guest that showed up, the guy that moved here from Merlin, I think, or Ashland. Now he's living in Merlin. This is Paps Martin, and he just brought me some very cool T-shirts, which Grace is going to wear one, called Synesthesia. And this is Paps Martin.
Hey, Paps.
Hey, good morning.
I've never met you. Never talked to you before. Welcome.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel the same way. It's actually, my first name is Nick, and my last name is Paps.
Okay, Nick. Oh, okay. So where's the Martin? So is it Nick Martin?
Nick Paps, actually.
Oh, Nick Paps. Okay. All right, Nick Paps. So, Nick, what are your thoughts? Do you want to share something with us?
I wasn't really planning on. I didn't realize I was going to be speaking on the radio this morning. Dr. Miller invited me over. I recently purchased one of his books, Power Tools, and read that too long ago. And then I went online and looked at some of his other books and made an order. And he was really generous. And from that order, he noticed that I lived fairly close by, and he invited me over to hang out for the radio program. So I kind of wasn't totally sure what I'm getting into, but I had listened to your program the other day for the first time, and I was pretty excited to be here.
Well, we're glad you're here. And now here's my question for you. And I'm just going to put you right on the spot. And you can not say anything if you want, but you're certainly welcome to answer this question. Now, I know Rick pretty well. I've spent a lot of time with Rick. We've been in the truck together. We've been in the car together. We've gone to our expos together. He's stayed at our house. We've gone out to eat. We've done a lot of things together. We've done seminars and meetups. Now, is Rick exactly what you expected him to be in person as compared to when you hear him on the air? Because I think he is.
I would say, yeah. He seems pretty consistent. You know, I didn't have a lot of expectations. It's you know, I've only seen a few of his interviews, and just kind of recently discovered the world of Dr. Miller. But his real life persona is very consistent with the feel you get from his books, and also what you see and hear on the radio and on his YouTube videos. For sure, he seems pretty darn consistent.
Yes, and he's a bundle of energy, isn't he?
He is. He's got a great laugh. He makes you smile a lot.
he does. And, you know, you haven't had the experience of being at the farmhouse, but one of the neatest, coolest experiences I've had is being at the kitchen table with Dr. Richard Allen Miller and Matt Stein and Rich Sheben and you know, a whole bunch of our instructors all at the kitchen table, crowded around and talking. And what happens is there will be maybe 7 or 8 conversations all going on at the same time, and everyone is trying to participate in the other conversations. So what I'm saying is it is absolute controlled chaos, and it is the most fun thing you can imagine. So that's kind of neat, and I'm so glad you've had a chance to experience Rick Miller in person, because he is a really, really wonderful man. He really is. Well, and Grace Thorne can attest. She's been at the farmhouse too, and she can attest. She's been there and she's watched the chaos as well. So it's great to have you guys around the microphone with me this morning. So thanks very much, Nick.
Well, it was nice talking with you. Thank you, Vincent.
Great.
Of course, he should have. There's my memory thing going sideways. Sorry, Ben. His brother has been doing designer T-shirts, and it's very cool. And I'll let him, at some other point next hour, just mention his brother, because they're very interesting T-shirts. Third item, a very good friend of mine was killed on a motorcycle while riding with his club Sunday. And it's unexpected. It was Kirk Bergman. I've known Kirk since 1970 when he ran my delis. He will be in workbook number 1 in the picture where we are sitting in front of the herbs. He's the one with the goatee. And the other guy notified me he's in the picture. He called me from Seattle, and another very good friend of mine, Al Savinelli, called me from Albuquerque. And I've been trying to write a eulogy, and these BS things that are happening to me are stopping me from even doing that. And I have a fourth thing I want to talk about. And so I need some help, and I don't know what it is I need, because I have to stop this nonsense in order to get anything done. And I'm in the middle of writing, and it's stopped me cold. And now I have another problem, and I'll tell you what that is next. That's Kirk Bergman. If people want to know who I'm talking about, there it is. Kirk was a very gentle soul. He was riding with his biker club. Yeah, he's a biker, of course. And a truck hit him. And we talked about that earlier in an earlier show, when that guy from, was it Arizona or was it New Mexico that called in, a trucker? Remember we talked about him?
Trucker Jay calls in from all over the country because he's in his truck. So sometimes it's in the Carolinas, sometimes it's out west. So he's all over. So it's Trucker Jay.
He had some very good points, and I'm going to recommend to your class that you, again, someday, when you have time and interest, listen to what he said about trucking, truckers, and the situation. And because it was a truck that killed him, and I'm going to guess 1 out of 4 truckers are on drugs out of their mind. The one that killed Kirk was. And I don't know what to say. It's just senseless. And now I've got a fourth thing that I needed to say, and this is the most important one of all the dogging and everything. The dogging and the distractions have taken me down to zero. And my metaphysics books just went up for sale, and the first 5 that I mailed out to the first 5 people, 3 of them came back opened and damaged. And that's U.S. Postal Service, which I've never had a problem with in my entire life. And because I was shipping them bulk rate, they're at a loss. I can write to the individual post office. In this case, all 3 of those got somehow messed up in Seattle. One came back to me with all the things missing, open, with a little stamp on it saying, because it's bulk mail, they have a right to inspect. And then the second one came back, same stamp on it, and was missing one CD. And the thing is, I can download or upload and do it that way and make them much cheaper and lots of profit. But these are really nice, the way I'm laying them out. At $10 a piece, they're worth $40 anywhere, and I'm selling them, and I got 15, and they set the foundation. And so I need people to buy these things. Nobody's buying them. The encyclopedia. Do you know how many encyclopedias I've sold since that came out? I sell a lot of the printed one, but the ebook one, I've only sold 20. 20! How many power tools have I sold? 20,000. Now, I don't understand what's going on, but there it is, U.S. Postal Service, and they're dogging me. I had one come from New Zealand, not an audio book, with tire tracks on the goddamn thing. And U.S. government does not guarantee or anything or track things past our border. And there are certain countries that I will no longer ship to, like Mexico and Vietnam. They're, down in Mexico, it's, if the postal wants what's in that package, they just take it. And there's no due diligence. That's it. The U.S. Postal Service, in my opinion, is the only thing our U.S. government has ever done correct. And Canada, when they went on strike a couple of years ago, I had no problems with BC and Alberta and all that. It was in Toronto. Toronto's like Lexington, it's a big sorting area. And because I've been selling books for 45 years, I've had a lot of experience. And why, at this moment, another dogging? And when I say that, it's taken me down to the point where I have no reserves. I am going back to work. I have to go back to work. I'm going to go start teaching at Rogue. I need people, if you're interested, buy my metaphysics books, these audio books, because every single one of them has so many rare manuscripts for download on the lectures that I gave to support it. You do your own research. That it's invaluable. I'm also going on with a rare book download library. Titan. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Website, not Amazon. This is another place where everybody dogged me. It started about a year and a half ago. Amazon started offering Amazon Prime all my titles. And the lawyer that I got on contingency, a friend of mine gave him $500, I didn't have it, to get him started, and then he was going to do on contingency, and just as he was, about 1 year later, as he was going in to get the name of the person at CreateSpace, all of a sudden he's got a lawsuit and had to leave the country. That's what they're doing to me across the board. Now, I'm angry, and I'm going to be outspoken about it now. And our system, plural, is broken. And it's going to get worse because when Trump went on close arrest after he left Camp David last week, did you know that? He had a meltdown. What happened? I don't know, but I can only guess. You know what? The difference between him and Clinton in terms of immigration is identically the same, and yet it's okay for Clinton, yet it's not with Trump. How does that work? Well, that's because Trump, even though he's a little brat 4-year-old, is also not a part of the club. And so this is crazy. And what they're going to do is fragment our country into provinces like they did Canada, because it's easier to rule. That's plan B for Agenda 21. And that's the next thing I need to talk about is I need, if you want to support me,
hold. Class, Dr. Richard Allen Miller is with us, docram.com,
Vincent, from now on, what I would like you to do is not use Doc Ram. That's Facebook, and they're all connected, but I'd like you to rather use my full website, richardallenmiller.com. Facebook is going to be next in harassing me, I'm guessing.
Okay. All right. And richardallenmiller.com.
So use Doc Ram if you want to go to Facebook, but my website, which has everything I'm doing on Facebook now, is there on the Daily Doc, is on my website. Thank you, Terry Hitt. She has volunteered to help me with my website, and watch and look at what's happening there now. It's a really powerful website in terms of it goes back 10 years more with articles I posted every day with a search engine. And that means you can go find anything you want on my site that I posted on Facebook in a heartbeat. And Facebook is getting weird and weirder with all their pop-up ads of, are you sure you don't want to turn on your notifications now? That kind of, it's incessant. And I'm starting to get irritated at them like I was AOL 30 years ago.
Are you saying...
Is that enough rant?
Let me see if I've got this right. Richard Allen, ALAN, Miller.com, because I'm not able to get that.
Absolutely correct. Yes, thank you. That's it. I'm going to start only promoting my website, and then I have all these other places that I do social networking, but I don't even hang out there at all. I don't think it's safe. I don't think it's healthy, and certainly they're monitoring everything I do. You know, I watch a movie on Netflix, and Amazon then tries to promote, oh, well, since you watched this, how about these movies go by? How does that work, Vincent? They're not supposed to do that. That's an FCC transgression.
It's great. I'm at your website, Richard. I'm at your website, richardallenmiller.com. By the way, I see my face on your website.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, imagine that, because I hang out with you once a week. You better get, guilt by association. Thank you, Matt Stein, for introducing us. And thank you, Ron Hoos, for introducing me to Matt Stein. And thank you. Gosh, it goes down the line.
It does.
How's that for the first hour, huh?
Yeah.
I'm angry.
And, go ahead. Rick, I am making the opposite of friends. It seems like everywhere I go now, I'm meeting people who dislike me. It's I don't know how to describe this, but I was sitting down in a waiting room, and I struck up a conversation with the gal and the guy next to me. And the conversation went something like this. We were talking about electric rates and things like that. And I described how some people are happy with the electric rates, being high. They don't mind them being high. And I was kind of taken aback by how people would not want their electric rates to be reduced. And the guy told me people are saying, "No, I'm okay with the electric rates the way they are. I don't want them to be reduced." Of course, my response to that is, "Oh, okay, so when you go to a store and you find that what you want to buy, that item you want to buy is on sale, okay, at a reduced price, do you say, I tell you what, I'm not going to buy it now because it's on sale. I'll come back when it's full price." I mean, they don't do that, but yet they're telling me that they're okay with the high electric rates and increase after increase after increase is okay with them. I'm not buying it. I think these people have lost their minds. But they think I've lost my mind wanting lower electric rates. Well, the guy that I was talking to was okay. He said he was in the power industry, and they are making obscene amounts of money at the upper levels. And that's okay. It's okay to make money on the backs of the little people. It's okay with him. To me, it's a sin. It's a sin to rip people off. But it's okay with him. And it was okay with him for these mega church pastors to rake in millions and millions and millions. And me, I'm thinking that churches are supposed to be helping the little people, not becoming rich on the backs of the little people. Just my thoughts. So I'm making enemies, seems like, everywhere I go now. We'll be right back. Everyone all set?
Yeah.
This is hour number 2 of USAPrepares.com. Dr. Richard Allen Miller's with us. RichardAllenMiller.com. That's Richard, A-L-A-N, Miller.com. You know, Rick, I was thinking it'd be great to have Grace come back on the air with us and do an hour of education. Yeah, I'd love to do a broadcast with Grace Thorne and talk about education in the public schools today. She's an expert in that. She's seen it. She's witnessed it.
What they became.
Yeah, Gunnar was great.
Well, here's the deal. Yeah. I watch. We have in Grand West, we have a thing called a petting zoo, where musicians will go to the park and talk to children with their instruments, and the kids are introduced to music, and it's called the petting zoo because you get hands-on. And I watched an 8-year-old girl become empowered in that moment when she could blow a clarinet and her older brother could not. It changed her life at that moment. And to watch that empowerment at that moment, that is possibly the most greatest thing I've ever. It's wonderful to watch a child get it.
Well, I just turned over the no whining plaque that class made for me, and I know you've got one and at your location, but it's signed by with all the individual signatures. Grace Thorne, Samantha, Lily, Kalia, Cammie, Olivia, Gabby, Mackenzie, Brooke, Savannah, Gunnar, and Walter. And
I have a little one with Howling Wolf says no whining on my little on my thing here. I love it. Am I whining?
Yeah, we're talking about Grace. We're talking about Grace Thorne's 6th grade class. So, Rick, I've got a question for you about extraterrestrials, okay? And according to CNET, CNET.com, they say next year scientists will send messages to search for aliens. And so what they're going to do is send messages out into space to see if, I guess, to let life, if there is life, know that we're here. And now,
why would we want to do that?
Stephen Hawking. Well, that's what Stephen Hawking wants to know.
Well,
he's saying,
man,
"Are you kidding?
An opportunity to mine us."
Are you kidding? You're gonna send messages to out there and
country. Yeah, listen. And even in when I watch orca chase dolphin, it's about food hierarchy. It's a hierarchy in food chain. Everything is eaten. Wasn't that the movie on Mercury Rising? The theme at the end of the movie when the alien Emperor Lord, says, "Yeah, it's about food chain." Everybody's got to serve somebody. Why would we want to do that? Low profile.
Well, that's what Stephen Hawking. Yeah, Stephen Hawking is saying it's an invitation to come attack us.
Yeah.
So, here we are. Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what scientists are
some scientists
trying to do. They want to send these.
And science has no longer got the credibility it used to have when Teller and others would have a warning about nuclear energy, and the League of Scientists would come out and say, da-da-da-da-da, your peer review now includes Carnegie Mellon and that nonsense. Oh, yeah, they're not chemtrails, they're contrails. That just happened last year. Now, I've had enough, and I am no longer proud to be a physicist. I'm no longer proud to be an American. I'm no longer proud to be a human being. It's wrong.
Well, I mentioned previous hour that I'm making enemies like wherever I go now, and I'm making enemies with people that I haven't even met.
Well, I'm not. That's the thing that I don't understand.
I'll bet you are. Well, yeah. I'll bet you are. And I'll tell you. Let me share this with you. So when I'm traveling in my little pickup truck, my full-size Chevy 2004 rust-colored pickup truck. It used to be, more white. Now it has more rust on it. But, I find that as I approach an intersection, I get cut off. People who are in a position to pull out in front of me wait till the last second, and then they pull out in front of me. So I'm making enemies with people I don't even know. And what I'm saying is, it seems like people are more on edge. They're looking to be offensive. They're less polite than they used to be. They're less concerned about the other guy than they used to be. They're more offensive than they used to be. And then now let me pick on truckers, okay? Now, what I've noticed, and class, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but what I've noticed with truckers, and these would be more independent truckers. I haven't seen one from Snyder or Walmart or Sam's Club. I haven't seen truck drivers who are professionals working for a large organization like Walmart or Snyder or the main carriers. I haven't seen them do this, but I have seen the independents. And what happens, including yesterday and 2 days ago and 3 days ago, climbing the hills in the Ozark Mountains, you'll find the independent 18-wheelers in the fast lane. Like, let's say there's 2 lanes. They'll be in the fast lane going uphill, but they can't overtake the vehicles in the slower lane. So they stay in the fast lane all the way up the hill. Now, why do they enter going up the hill? I mean, obviously they want to go faster, but they can't. So instead of staying in the slow lane and letting the traffic that's going the speed limit go past them, they hold everybody up. What's going on with that? But it's not the the professional drivers from the large carriers. It's these independents. I see it like all the time. Every day that I'm on the interstate, I see it over and over and over again. And it's not the same truck driver. It's different truck drivers. And it seems to be, well, look, I'm here. I'm just going to hold up everybody, and I don't really care. That's the impression that I'm getting. And I don't like it because it's not polite. So I'm saying that I think you're seeing the same thing, too. Are you, Rick, or is it just here in Missouri where people are rude?
No, I can tell where a driver, how long they've been in Oregon from California. I can tell a California driver immediately. They drive differently. And I can tell how long they've been in Oregon by the way they're driving. It's down in California, 8 lanes wide, bumper to bumper with roadkill. And now they're moving up here because our prices, our land is cheaper, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's terrible. And I don't have an answer for it. I'm going to say this. I think there's a war going on between the Anunnaki and other races, and Malcolm's in the middle. We have no disclosure, and we're feeling the situation. I don't know that. That's a metaphor. There's like a war going on, and it's not about us. It's jockeying for position.
Okay, jockeying for position. That is right on the money. And let me give you another example. 2 days ago, I was in Springfield, Missouri, and I stopped at an intersection. Okay? Then I went through the intersection. And what happened was the guy behind me stopped, and then he decided that as he was going through the intersection, he was going to pass not only me, but the guy in front of me. And this is kind of dangerous. This is dangerous stuff. Yesterday, I was going almost.
I lost you. Where are you, Penny?
What was that?
I lost you for a minute. Your voice cut out.
Okay, all right. Right. So I was going 55 miles, almost 55 miles an hour. The guy in front of me was going almost 55 miles an hour. We were in a no-passing double yellow curve, right? And the guy behind me, no problem. He doesn't care whether we're going, up a hill where you really can't see very well, double yellow line. We're almost going the speed limit. I'm not holding. I'm going, the speed that the car in front of me is going. And the guy behind us can't wait. So he's going to pass on a double yellow up a hill on a curve. Now, these are dangerous, dangerous drivers, and they should not be on the road. And I have a feeling that our government is saying, you know what, these people are so crazy on the road, it's so dangerous now that they're going to permit these driverless vehicles, because maybe they're going to be a little safer and they're not going to do stupid things like pass on a double yellow up a hill on a curve, or accelerate and pass, two cars from an intersection. Or hold up traffic by driving in the fast lane when you're going way below the speed limit. These are the kind of things that are happening. And then, I'm not crazy about the police pulling people over. I'm really not. And I'd like smaller government. But there's one thing I wish the police would do. If they're going to stop anybody, I wish they would pull over these people that have poorly secured loads on their pickup trucks, or unsecured loads on their pickup trucks, or my fellow farmers who seem to think that they have these flatbeds on their pickup trucks. So what they have is, instead of having a bed box, they have a flat surface on the back of their pickup trucks. And what they do is they'll put bags of feed on there, they'll put chains on there, they'll put their gas cans on there, whatever else they feel like, trash, whatever else they feel like putting on there, and they'll drive down the road without it being in a bed box, without it being secured. And I think the saying that they're probably using is, it'll be okay. It'll be all right. I'm not worried about it. It'll stay there. Really? You hit a bump, you hit the brakes, it can slide off to the front, it can slide off to the back, around the curve, it can slide off to the side. Really? They're not going to have any problems on the road where they have got to make a quick turn or a quick jog or quick acceleration or quick braking? No, that's not going to happen to them. It only happens to other people. It's ridiculous. And I wish the cops, if they would do anything, would start giving citations for poorly secured loads, which can fall off and kill people. Dr. Richard Alan Miller is with us, richardallenmiller.com, Richard, A-L-A-N, Miller.com. Rick, you've got a special on your Metaphysics 1, 2, and 3 audio lecture series, $15 each, or 3 for $40. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, those are the courses I taught after I had done my military, and Mark Hume was changing PC Link into AOL. Mark hired me to teach metaphysics and what I did for the military. And then, going beyond meta, meaning beyond. And then, was trying to offer download libraries for getting traffic on a social networking that now is like PC, what is it called today? It's like Facebook and things like that. But it was originally AOL, and he's trying to get traffic. So he hired people like me. I worked out of the well for a BBS and in 1990. And I taught out of Humboldt University, and it was accredited across the country. And I did 15 courses over 11 years, 9 weeks each. And those are Metaphysics 1 through 15. John Mack took Meta 3 in 1992, I think it was, and that's when he started alien abductions at Harvard. That's where I did my medical, and my intern was at UW. Now, these metaphysics books, courses are 9 weeks audio, and then there's download libraries on the references that I would use. The first one has Manly Palmer Hall, the secret teaching thing, all the other things associated. I have everything from Crowley and Rigardi and Gareth Knight and so on. Now, I don't put them all on these discs because each disc can only hold so much information. I'm giving away the rare books so that you can see where I'm coming from in my reference to metaphysics. And this is my opening salvo when I'm going to say that physics is going to become magic. The study of altered states of consciousness where you are tools in a toolbox. You see, when I watch a woman rip a car door off to save her daughter in a flaming automobile, everybody gets it. They've seen that before. How can she do that when there isn't anything in her body stronger than steel? And yet she's able to do that like an ant can carry 10 times its weight. It's because of altered states of consciousness. And this one here, your ability in guessing is 400 times above where you are right now. This one over here you can rip car doors and steel off. This one up here you can, once we learn how to study and manage these altered states. But you're going right now, while I'm speaking, at least 1,000 times into maybe a different universe in 1 minute. And that's why all the saints in history have, said the importance of training the mind. Now, there's shortcuts like brain drivers. So Julie Boy is interested in brain drivers. And I say, well, that's really good. What are you going to do with the brain driver? Because that brain driver tool now has opened a series of doors, like Maslow's hierarchy of beliefs. You can now, using a brain driver, change a belief system like you would a pair of clothing. And I might remind those fundamentalists out there that if they had been born in Pakistan, they would not be Christian. And so beliefs are not absolutes. They're used as tools to accomplish a goal. And there are certain things, or sweaters, I prefer in winter. And that's why I don't throw them away. Don't get rid of a belief. You don't use it as a tool if it's not appropriate in Tehran. And I'm going to suggest that that's where the new directions of physics are going, to understand how you can rip a car door off when it doesn't apply to the laws of physics. And physics does not have the answers any more than religion. In fact, they are the opposite ends of the same closed system or cavitation, like your two brains. It's a way of looking at things. And the two work back and forth like future and past, and what you have is the moment.
So, Rick, if our class wants to order your Metaphysics 1, 2, and 3
thank you.
audio series, do they get them right from RichardAlanMiller.com, Richard A-L-A-N Miller?
Yeah, I make them up, and I'm making the covers and the insides, and the reason I'm doing that is they're too really big to download. That's how much information is on each disc. Yeah. When I talk about rare books, I'm talking about, the Zetes, or the Greater Keys of Solomon, or the Grisha, the one on Enoch, or things that you can't find in normal libraries that might be referenced in a graduate level course on something. And I have read them all. I have grokked them all.
We'll be right back. Dr. Richard Alan Miller is with us. Rick, I have in the studio a prototype of a scalar energy device that Lou Cassidy, one of our USA Prepares instructors, and Dr. Norman Shealy have created. And Lou Cassidy built the electronics to Dr. Norman Shealy's specifications, and it's a scalar energy device. I have it here in the studio. I've had it for several days, and I've put it in the bedroom, and I sleep with it at night. And I've measured with a tri-field meter. I've measured with a tri-field meter that, yes, there is electromagnetic transmissions coming from it, electric transmissions, and also radio frequencies. That I've determined. And I put a kilowatt, KILL-A-WATT, meter on it to determine how much electrical energy it's consuming. And it's about 1 watt. Actually, it measures 1 watt.
Really?
So I've watched this. Yes. Now,
that
is
interesting.
Well, I've been in Dr. Norman Shealy's scalar rooms as recent as this week. I've been in. He has 4 scalar energy transmission modules in his scalar energy room. One of them. His other one, a different room, has I believe 3. And what I've done, along with other people, he has these reclining chairs. Some of them are like lazy boy types, and others are a little different. And I've been in the room with other people, maybe 10 other people at one time months ago. And what I've noticed is that the people who want to participate, who are willing participants, are in a deep state of relaxation. Now, there was one gal who was in there who didn't get the message, and she was on her cell phone, and she refused to participate because she was what I would say is addicted to her cell phone. And Norm Shealy and Dr. Sergey Sorin put a quick end to that. No cell phones allowed. But obviously this gal couldn't read. But for the rest of us, we were in a deep state of relaxation. And I can tell you that in the bedroom, I am absolutely out, completely out. And I've likened this state that I feel to very, very similar to the state that Norm Shealy put me in when he hypnotized me for a past life regression. So that is what I'm experiencing, and I have it in the studio with me. So I'm not.
Okay, so do you want the short or long version of what's going on?
Yes. Actually, both.
Okay, Tom Bearden is the one associated with the term scalar. Hieronymus was the one that built a radionics machine that dialed in, and a whole bunch of insects fell out in Washington, D.C., dead from something he turned on in Florida. That's scalar. It started with Hieronymus, and then Tom Bearden he's an engineer in Texas working military like I was, a physicist. I have written on his stuff, a scalar, by definition, is something lesser dimensioned. A scalar to you would be your shadow. It is related to you, and yet it's lesser. And what they're doing is using that lesser system as a projection to go out and do something more in the universe. Now that Chinese have called qi, that energy that patterns the randomness. And so Roger Penrose now talks about that as structured water inside a microtubule. At the moment of death, there's a 3.2 ounce weight loss, like the Ba and the Khan Egyptian philosophy, which talks about the soul and spirit within matter. And structured water inside a microtubule is on the surface and is used in martial arts to harden steel, like with Stormin' Norman Cantwell, the real Dalton from Roadhouse. That man is solid chi. You can't penetrate it with a bullet, probably. I have Sifu that could put his sword in his throat and bend the sword without it breaking his neck. And the way he did that, he focused the chi, which is now used in Hammeroff. Others are talking about that, having to do with where the soul resides as a physical analog inside the physical body. It is something more. I have a whole chapter on that in my non-local mind book, running it down in terms of a physics thing, which, by the way, isn't any more real than religions per se. The truth is not in the written word. The truth is in your response to it. And it's different for everybody. And that means there are as many different religions as there are human beings, and you go to specific ones for fellowship and reinforcement of your value or belief you're trying to strengthen within yourself. Now, I'm using scalars as a metaphor for healing. Now, healing, what we call placebo, is, they say, well, there's a 10% placebo here, and it's not 10%. It's more like 95%. 95% of what your belief is what happens in your body because of the structure of water in your body. You can take water and you bless it, and that will kill vampires, according to the church. Now, I'm trying to make a point here. It is your intent within the frame of you in a lesser form that will permeate upward into all the further dimensions up there from clear spirituality. And it's a new way of looking at the universe. And what we're doing is pussyfooting around it, and we started with you know what Hieronymus did to prove his machine, radionics. He had a bunch of wires and all that inside the box. He pulled everything out of the box. The box is empty, and it still worked. How's that work? Now, that's what Hieronymus did. Mirden went to the next level, and we started making scalar weapons, like they do in Dune, where they sound, so it's a resonance. That's what it's about, resonant physics. And you're going from one subset of systems up to the next one, and you are using a scalar as a biological amplification of your thought, and how it takes psyche into matter. How's that one work for you?
Well, Rick, here's what I've seen. So I mentioned that I was in the scalar room at Norm Shealy's clinic months ago, and there were a whole bunch of people in this room with me, and all of us, except for this one gal, were relaxed. Now, and I'm talking about intent. So this gal was on her cell phone. I don't know if she's looking at, our Facebook or whatever she was doing. She was oblivious to why she was there. Okay?
That's what
she was
zombies. Have you watched kids walking together? That's super.
Yeah. Right. Well, I would say that this gal was a nuisance to the rest of us. She was munching on whatever, and she's wrinkling her potato chip or cookie bag or whatever it was, making all these noises that's what it sounded like, with her in the room.
Like in a movie,
right. So she was resisting, and I don't think this was working on her because she was not willing to let it work. Okay. Just as I believe that when I was being hypnotized by Dr. Norman Shealy for the past life regression, that I was a willing participant. I wanted to see if it worked. I wanted to be hypnotized. I was allowing it to happen.
You did it when I did it too.
Yes, and same with you.
The deal is, that's why you form a contract. The hypnotist is not the hypnotist. You are. That's why I call it self-hypnosis.
Okay. Well, here's what, and when you hypnotized that whole room, there were people who were willing to be hypnotized, including me, and I was. But here's what I've noticed, that if I wanted to resist, if I said, nah, I'm not buying this, I'm not going to believe it, I'm not going to let it happen, I could have stopped it, I could have prevented it from happening.
If I hadn't believed it. Your upper mind is there to make all your beliefs true. Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. Your gut is where it all happens, not your brain.
Yeah. So what I noticed was that this gal was resisting, either consciously or subconsciously. She was not going to let it happen.
Yeah.
And I was, and it did happen to me. And I can tell you that I have slept deeper, and I was in a room with just by myself with Norm Shealy's and Lou Cassidy's pulsed electromagnetic field device, as well as the scalar device, and I was in a deep, deep state of relaxation. I mean, I was,
isn't it? To be
absolutely
able to realize that you can even do that without anything. All that is a prop, what they call a prop in movies. It's a foil. A foil is the actual word they use. The thing like that keeps coming up that's keeping the center of the focus of the movie. It's irrelevant, but it's called the focus, or the prop. It's a way of focusing you with yourself. And that's where we're going in the study of magic.
I have the Dream Team helping me with my my health challenges. I've got some very serious lung damage, and it's happened.
I'm so very sorry about that.
Well, I don't mean to say woe is me. That's not it.
From the air.
Well, they determined it's from mycoplasma. Okay, and so the Dream Team is Dr. Richard Allen Miller, Dr. Norman Shealy, Dr. Bill Deagle, and Dr. Joel Wallach. And I'm getting and Miles and Joey. And, I mean, the Dream Team is unbelievable in providing me with assistance. And if you put it all together, it's working, including the pulsed electromagnetic field device and the scalar energy. So can I put my finger on exactly where my improvement's coming from? I can't. But I'm following the recommendations, and it's working. Class, if you'd like to go to Dr. Richard Alan Miller's website, it's richardalanmiller.com. And that's where you can buy the Metaphysics Audio Series 1, 2, and 3, $40. Rick, do you autograph them?
No, they're CDs with a lot of ink. I mean, I have a cover, I have an inside. The disc itself is. These are going to be like books that you keep forever. And I thought about doing it as an ebook, but cheap. But this particular set is more important than that. And I wanted something, and you can't autograph. Oh well, I can't. I don't on those. The one reason I did audio, by the way, was because that's how the music industry stopped Amazon from bootlegging music. They did live performances. That's what I did, audio, and this is my first attempt against Amazon.
Okay, Rick. Hurricane, according to Bloomberg. Now we've reported this. Days and days ago, but we talked about the hurricanes in Texas and in Florida, and they have released a stream of toxic pollutants from refineries, chemical plants, even Superfund sites in Texas. Now, these are massive toxic areas that the government has to get involved in to help clean up, and I don't know if we can clean them up, but in any event, so all this water mixed with these chemical pollutants, and then of course the sewage treatment plants overflowed, cross-connected with the water supply, and raw sewage ran down the streets. And as it ran down the streets, it ran into the homes. And so if your home was flooded, you've got this toxic soup of chemicals, gasoline, diesel, insecticides, raw sewage, all mixed together, and now it's flooded, vast areas. I'm extremely concerned about it. We know that more than 9 million gallons of this toxic soup is tied to Irma.
The weight alone
and, if you look
has dropped the state of Texas landmass down 3 centimeters.
Yes.
Did you know that?
Yes, I do.
The weight
of
the water,
yes, I did.
The flood on Texas has actually pushed that state into the ground.
Now, well, here's the next question, Rick. As the water flowed out of some areas and into other areas, it changed the center of gravity somewhat of the Earth, right? Didn't it change it?
Yes, that's
some
why.
Small amount.
Yeah, you can measure that too. By the way, you have to do it from space, but yeah.
Okay. Now, since the center of gravity of our planet changed, did that change or alter our orbit? And will that produce even
the orbit
more
has already
weather?
changed. Yeah, the orbit has already changed. The Inuit have confirmed that. Stanford and Caltech have also said there's a planet out there by Saturn. Where did it come from? And, there's 4 planets out there now. Where did they come from? Nibiru is about to come through here, and the Hopi talk about the red and the blue Kachina, which sounds to me like a redshift of something going through our solar system with no warning very quickly. And that is most likely planets that are calling Nibiru now. They're probably the planets of Nibiru. Now, it gets weirder. Stanford said that there's Nibiru, and wait, the IR signature is wrong. What does that mean? And for a brown dwarf, it should be da-da-da-da-da, and the infrared signature, IR signature is wrong. What does that mean? And now, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, a friend of mine down there, is suggesting to his colleagues, it's a Dyson sphere with our future coming into the moment or present. How's that one feel? Gets better.
Actually, it feels a little frightening, Rick.
Well, no, it's not. It's an opportunity. Things change. This is cyclic. We've dropped ice cores, and there it is. It's happened before. Every 3,600 years. Wait, it's going to get better because it's actually an opportunity. Death and change is not what you think they are. It gets better. We have an opportunity to get rid of this nonsense.
There you go. Richard Alan Miller.com. Richard, A-L-A-N, Miller.com. Class above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you. Thank you, Rick.